Anyway, for the next 2 nights, tonight and tomorrow, I'm going to be going through photos I took in the Lehigh Gorge in June of 2005. Now, I think this is when I was still doing stuff with my old scout troop. I was an adult leader. My dad was more active in the troop, and we would still go do occasional things. And this was one of either a rafting trip or a cycling trip. And of course, at that time, that Lehigh Gorge was starting to fill up with a lot of RB, Red and Blue Mountain, northern tourist stuff. And I think we even took one of the trains. So that's where a lot of the photos came from. Anyway, let's see what we got here and see what we can do. So, I've already cleaned out the stuff that's not super applicable. Also, back in the day, this time being one of them, I was you tend to see a lot more random crap in the photos. I used to get out a lot more. This was in that period of time after I graduated, but before I'd started a job. So I was always doing a lot of little trips over to Philly, or locally in South Jersey, and a lot of these things. And when your camera only holds 96 photos per media card, you don't tend to take a lot of photos. So, I would go out, take a few, go out somewhere else, take another few, and they sort of lump them in together into these batches. So, let's see where we are. Again, I hope to get my web space back soon, but I'm going to be having to deal with, once again, figure out what to name all these where the name isn't obvious. So we're starting off with a bunch here in North Philadelphia, and here we go. This was right before North Philadelphia Tower was closed. I say it's the last day. It might have been the last day it was open. I really didn't get any. I didn't even knock. I was a little shy back then. Probably should have, but what does it matter? But I had in a previous set. I'm not doing these in order in 2005. I took some photos from an NEC train going through, and this, I think that I did make a trek out just to get some final pictures. North Philadelphia the tower was actually, it gotten some, man, this was 2005, that's 13 years ago. It had been spruced up a little bit. I'm not sure who gave them the money to improve it, but they put some Philly themed murals on it. Probably something some local school kids did. But I guess I just figured that there might be some people around or something going on. I do have some photos of North Philly I can show in a second here. Yeah, these aren't the greatest photos. Sometimes even when a tower is closing, unless you're inside and shooting video, there's not a ton you can really see. I mean, if you've never been to the tower before and you haven't seen the signals, but by this point, North Philadelphia, the pneumatic switches had all been replaced by electrics. As you can see here at the famous 6-track signal bridge, or more than 6 actually, it had already had the new LED signals installed, and they just had to be spliced over to the new logic. Unlike freight railroads, Amtrak sort of doesn't mind splicing stuff because they got to keep their things going. So that's what this is. As I now realize what this was, it was me rushing out to get a few last photos of the tower while it was still in operation. I sometimes just can't remember what's going on with the pictures. Go. Fortunately, I'm just using the old names that I had for these. Doesn't really matter. My old camera, it was, like I said, it was 3 megapixel, but I never know what the millimeters are in these point and shoots. I mean, I don't really care. They would always at a certain point, there's not, they advertise them as X optical zoom, and I'm sure some real person would know all the stats of it, but when you get a camera for mainly convenience, I mean, I have DSLRs and I've got lenses on those, and I know what those are, but I'm not gonna go too far into the specs of. Hey, you got some of the security cameras there on North Philly. North Philly gets a lot of crap for being a gnarly area, but it was, especially around the Amtrak station was pretty tough, but I've never had any problems with North Philly. I've actually had people refuse to go to North Philly on my fan trips in this day, in 2018. It's like, come on. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to live there, but you're not going to get attacked at the station. I mean, you might. I mean, you can get you're not going to get run over by a car crossing the street. You might, but you're really not. So, anyway, I'm still, even though these signals are new, they are still the the old ones. So that means heading over to our no longer online. That's one of the things that happened over the last year. Mark Beja's site, the maps of the PRR vanished because Keystone's Crossings died. That just shows you, always make your own local copies of stuff, no matter how. Cloud. You can't. Stuff won't be there forever. And this stuff went up around year 2000, and 18 years later, the guy's not interested, and then the guy who's hosting it got sick of it, and then the stuff's gone. So, anyway, that's the 34R there with a slow approach for in approaching SEPTA local. The new configuration would display a medium clear on the 34R. But under the old logic, it is a slow approach because the latter used to be slow speed coming across. Here you can see the old with double slips and everything. This was a major interlocking plant, but since there's no freight, they got to worry about. They can simplify it completely. The dwarf, there used to be on the opposite track. There was a 32RC dwarf. But again, by this point in the rebuild, it has been replaced by a high signal. Now this one I am going to rename, since I now know the... There we go. Come on. Oh boy. Now we're in the problems where... What did I... Oh. I gotta resize this guy. That's why it's so big. There we go. Wonder if we got anybody hanging out. Hey, got some people here. Hey, people. Feel free to chat. I'll answer your questions if I can remember to pop in. Yeah, so definitely look for more of these over the next couple days, and of course they'll be in the archives. I like streaming on YouTube's a great place to stream since it basically integrates very well with everything you got. So again, this is another scene that doesn't really exist so much anymore. The curved platform is still there, but the whatever they call it, the 50 signal, 50L. That was controlled from a table interlocker, so yeah, that's completely gone. The SEPTA went. It was an automatic for a while. But when SEPTA Rule 562'd the line, it went away. Come on. That's cute. Two things that aren't around anymore. Got your AEM 7. Is that making a station stop? Weird if it was, but probably just caught it passing through despite the crappy day and poor light. That looks really spiffy. That's an AEM 7AC rebuild. I'm pretty sure you can tell by the new equipment on the roof. I could be wrong. I'm not going to go and actually look up the numbers. It's somewhat spotty, but looks like it's a rebuild. Huh. Yeah, I'm gonna put the AM7 first on that one. Oh boy. Now I have multiple photos of similar things. Gotta rename the last one to try to differentiate. Oh, I actually did rename it properly. Yeah, I wish I'd done a little bit more signal fanning on the Chestnut Hill West. I got all the signals at some point, I think, on some fan trips, but I just never got out to do the line. I mean, to make stop places, you know, other stuff here and there. It's a really wet day. That I'll point out right here that the way this 50L signal here is mounted, that basket is is one of the original. That's how the position lights were originally mounted. I mean that's I get what maybe that's the original way. Before they came up with the standard, either the cage for the overhead or the newer masts, it's almost like a B&O CPL. They built this basket behind the signal. I'd love to have known if that was a PL3. You know, those might have been earlier model PLs too. Now, North Philadelphia interlocking dates, I believe, from around 1911. So you know that's I'm sure was an original mounting. Or probably no, that would have gone in when they electrified the CHW in 1918, or between 1950 and 1918. That probably went in. Position lights first used on the main line out to Paoli, due to the high density and the electrification, and this CHW was electrified a lot. You can consider to be Paoli era electrification. It was the first part of the first overhead. You know, the 12K 25 hertz electrification that PRR did, and they went out to Paoli, Chestnut Hill West, I think Fort Washington on the Chestnut Hill West, and you had to wait for a couple more years before they went out to Westchester, Wilmington, and then Westchester. But the loss of that thing there, I'm not sure if they pulled the signal. I think the whole thing's gone now. But that was a real unicorn right there. Almost like a tombstone signal. You can see it. I forget where I saw the documents. Someone with a position light oriented website, as in technical information on PR position lights, had that as like, you can see those in the plans, like, here are the PR plans for how you mount a position light, and that little baskety thing is in the plans. You know, this is a crummy day, but these photos aren't that bad. You know. Oh, look! the underpass is still there. That got so dangerous. Well, okay, you know, I'll tell people you're not going to get mugged here, but yeah, you're not going to get mugged here in the daylight. But you know, in the tunnels, you got people sleeping in the tunnels at night. You never know what's going to be going on. And that was for a while. I mean, not that people just wouldn't walk across the tracks, but the only way to get from one side of this disused station stop to the other side of this disused station stop was on an underpass. That's been replaced by a little miniature grade crossing they got there now. I just posted some photos of that in my latest photo set. What am I doing? Oh, okay. Always gotta check make sure your stuff's level as best you can. Oh, gotta figure out. I don't want to go dead here, but 1 second. There we go. Alright, let's see what's going on here. Oh, we still got some people, I think. Yep, someone did a post. What? No! What happened? I lost my chat. Ah, there it goes. I am not well practiced. Okay, that's set 1. Got 12 photos. On to the next. Delete these guys. Shoop, gone. On to the next 12. So at some point I will get to the Lehigh Gorge, I promise. There it is. Oh, look, scenery. No. Not a train. We'll get here. There we go. All right. Wait. No, I gotta do some cropping on this. Get out of here, railing. No one likes you. So again, here's the what I like to. I don't have a good term for it. The North Philly plant was basically an east and a west. I always call this the at this point, because North Philly, they chopped off half of it, and then this went from an inner gantry to the westbound. What did I call this originally? That's a terrible name. And the one that's showing a clear there is the 30R. 30R clear. Oops. Oops. There we go. So if someone wanted, actually I can probably pull that out. Someone actually wanted to see those photos. I got them in here somewhere. Here they are. Here's some stuff from North Philly. You can pause on it if you want. And this is an old school pre-model 14 electro-pneumatic machine. There's the table interlocker for the 50 signal that I showed you earlier, the one with a little basket. That's because it was sort of an afterthought. Operator's desk. Your old panel blocking is right there. the whole of your table machine, and here's the EP machine. Yeah, wow. This is when it was still out in operation in 2005. Yep, you can see those old school switch and signal lock, availability lights, and of course the PR's practice of giving you most of the signals a timer. Remember, these aren't cheap, and back in the day, those weren't cheap. The PR had money. They were the Walmart of the day. Suction breakers, which weren't used anymore. Yeah, I gotta do a thing on North Philly, but I don't have a lot of good exterior photos and such. This shows you on the light on the approach, and this is where they painted over. This was the East End, and they just have traffic levers. I don't know how they worked this. This was such a weird thing with the operators. I don't know how SeaTac worked with this tower in the middle of its territory. Who did traffic? It must have been a nightmare trying to signal this sort of thing in. You can see all the stuff that was removed, even somewhat recently. Those were stubs until they really started getting serious about the station relocation. I'm not sure what that is. Here's your panel blocker, both CHE, and this is going towards Zoo there. Anyway, when I put this up, you guys can go and sort back through it. Yeah, today's these would have an Amtrak track number things, but like I said, if they're still attached to the machine, then I'm gonna go by the original designation. See if I can pull up the brightness on this a bit. Oh, don't have a lot of pixels here to work with. Really don't. So that is your 28R and 30R displaying it clear. 28R plus 30R clear. Boom. Done. Gotta get in more on this guy, but framing's not helping it, and I would love to have that stub there. I don't like breaking aspect ratio. I guess I can do it this one time. A lot of the 160 series Silverliner 4s are out this day. Even by this point, 7 years away from Silverliner 2 and 3 retirement, SEPTA was really was trying to get the most out of its 2s and the older units. They would rarely run them on weekdays. North Philly had a very bizarre configuration. Find that. Come on. You can see there's a cut track there. That's because for the longest time you had, instead of having, two platform, you had 4 main tracks and 2 station tracks and 2 freight bypass tracks. And because they really didn't need to use the station, I'm not sure what doing. The outbound platform was sort of straight railed. So you had your track 1, track 2 hitting the outbound platform. The old track 2 through the interlocking was lifted between this 2 switch and the 47 switch and 2. What this did was just sort of cut right through. They straight railed this 47. Track 2 hit the outbound platform, then it sort of came back over there. The old track 1, instead of going to this, instead of having this switch, that was eliminated, and it just sort of went over there and then came back. The old 17 switch being retained in Clearfield. This was gone, and that's gone. And then, so track 3, they kept that where it was, not hitting this platform. Track 4 stayed where it was, and they just lifted this westbound station track and this freight bypass. This is the Trenton line right there. Former Conrail Trenton line. So you can see for the ultimate, either that was done for the Clearfield project or something. They still had a little bit of the track left in this 2005 scene. The East End elimination, which broke out as Clearfield interlocking, happened only a few years before. I can't remember exactly when, but 2000, 1999. All right, so here we have this gray, horribly gray photo of shelf relays. I was trying to take some pictures through the window. So I'm going to see if I can hit this with a clarification filter. Don't really like using it because it washes out all the color, but not much you can really do. Here we go. See? It sort of pulled it right out. And it's all black, and it's pretty much black and white now. Oh, wow, I can actually see the things. Yeah, you can see the shelf relays for what I think are the 32, and I'm not sure what those are. I wish I could read the relay stuff. I'll do it quick. I'm just going to save this as is, because you need the detail. I'll just check to make sure that I got the detail there. There it is. Come on. Yep, looks like I got all the detail, so. Come on. What the? Oh, chat's still working. I lost everybody. Oh well. I'll try the same here, but I'm not sure it's necessary. This might have been a different window, or at least a slightly different angle. This is the sort of stuff that I'm glad that I went and got, even though the windows were all frosted and I couldn't get anything inside. Oh. Except the 16th Street photos. Oh, I don't know what I would have called this. Oh, let's go over to SEPTA 16th Street. I don't have a ton of stuff there. Man, someone's thrashing. This computer's a little older than the ones I normally use, and someone's really not liking it right now. Come on. Oh, come on. Man, something's really thrashing it. Ah, oh, come on. Well, this isn't super exciting. Oh, I got people again. Anyway, I think I know what this is called, but is it? Come on. Huh. It's one of those things. I probably delete. It might be one of those photos I just deleted. Oh, here it is. Wow. I processed the crap out of this one. Ooh, wait. I hit this with something to brighten it up. You see, this is what I used to do back in the day. I would like over-process the photos, trying to make like everything stand out. This is the same one? I sharpened it a lot. Yeah, sharpening actually worked a bit better. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of rainy day. A lighter hand can really sometimes the better thing, but this is sort of like, woo, hey, I found all these filters that'll make my photos look better. I don't have to pretend that it's rainy or anything that day. Yeah, it's soft and it's not great, but whatever. What did I call this? I gotta overwrite this old one. Ugh. So yeah, this is the really neat part about North Philly is that you have the Reading main line into Reading Terminal and the PRR, what do you call it, the connecting railroad, passing right over each other, and you have at the time the traffic density at that one location. I mean, that's that thing that you blow that up, in World War II, Nazi saboteurs or something. I mean, that's the sort of location that you go for. Of course, the PRR would have rebuilt it within 48 hours. So, I mean, there's that. Resiliency can defeat most forms of aggression. But here we have a Reading mainline signal. Now I got to go into my sort of archivey thing here. I'll refer to that stuff later. Kill you. What do I got? Signaling? No. There it is. I gotta go and find what the number of that signal is. Unfortunately, I have most of them right here. There it goes. 24. There's 29. And there it is. 30. Don't need a blizzard pick. Don't have a lot of photos of 30, but I found one here. So this is definitely worth the rename. I'm going to keep it in the wide angle, though. Did that make that bigger? No. What are the numbers of those tracks? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay! I really don't like the weirdo track numbering where it's like 2, 4 or 4, 2, 1, 3. I know, yeah, because someone somewhere that once upon a time didn't want to change track numbers. PR never had that problem. Oh man. I'd love to know what the heck is thrashing stuff today. Okay, we're gonna have to be on not a train for a little while. So some of the non-railroad photos I usually I'll leave in the sets because they provide a little bit of atmosphere. These were taken in Hickory Run State Park. So, this was near the campsite where we were staying. I think we'd been to that campsite a couple times before. that was always the nice part of the Boy Scout stuff is you didn't have to worry about that crap. It is someone knew how to book the site, someone signed up for it. I mean, you paid the money for it, but you weren't the one having to book it. And I know today it's like you go online and you just like book a campsite or whatever, but it's sort of a pig in a poke. A lot of the times you don't know, if you haven't been there, you don't know what's good. You don't know how far in advance you have to book it. I don't know. There was just something about the Boy Scout stuff that just someone got it done, and since then it's just I just don't get out and do a lot of camping these days anymore. And part of it is it's just it's less fun with fewer people. As I blast through these photos, hope I'm not making them too large. Good enough. But it's that was another nice thing. I mean, it's one of the I went a lot of places back when I was a kid, and it was nice. But I just the infrastructure, you didn't have I only got a digital camera in late 2002. I mean, I hadn't been I'd been out of the scout, hadn't been a youth member in the Scouts for a while. And I'd always done these things of pre-internet, going places, and I didn't know the significance of a lot of the places I went. I didn't know that this stuff is there's signaling here that's 80 years old, that there's, this is going to vanish, there's pneumatic stuff over there, that tower is active. I didn't know any of that stuff. I knew a little bit in 98, 99, mainly which towers were still active. But I didn't appreciate how quickly things would change, and I really regret not. I mean, you say like, oh, I didn't take more pictures. Well, I was going to take pictures with film, not at that age when I'm, going out and taking. You can't go and take 1,000 photos of every angle of signal, and I wasn't set up with slide scanners or all these other gizmos to really get the best quality out of it. So, there's not much I could have done. A lot of missed opportunities, and so today there's not much of an excuse with the amount of recording capabilities that we all have. You got to get out there and you got to get pictures of this stuff before it goes away. What little of it there is. I mean, if you see, I was making an effort even in 2005. Like I went out on the last day of hey, look, crappy camera, and I got some decent photo there. That's really nice. It's a lady slipper. It's an orchid common in the Northeast. I had one of these grown in my front yard. Apparently, everybody says, "Oh, these are really hard to transplant or whatever." And I had a little patch that would come back year after year after year. And it ironically got crowded out by Jack in the Pulpit, which also generally you can't get to grow in a normal. You can't just transplant that out of a swamp and get that to grow in your house, in a normal suburban yard. So. It took the one rare plant. I think it's had to do with we always would put down cedar chips as mulch, and I think it acidified the soil into some way that made it tolerable for the plants of that type. Here we go. This is a really nice day too. So even when I was a kid on these scout trips, I sort of knew where the railroads were, and I'd always just have my dad, take me by them. I didn't know what I was really looking at, but in this case, we were just driving around Mach Chunk, and it's not Mach Chunk, it's the one across Mach Chunk. Oh, it's just the other side of Mach Chunk. And we find the Blue Reading Blue Mountain Northern doing its Gorge excursion train. So, we left sufficiently early. No, I don't want signaling. I want the regular one. Why is this running as Lehigh Gourge? Why did I have this mark? Whatever. Okay. That's a great photo, even today. Even by today's standards. Oh, so these guys, I forget where these are now, but for the longest time, these two CNJ, even there was a B unit with them too. It was an ABA set, and they lived in Winslow Junction. They lived at Winslow Junction. That's one of those things. If you were on a short line, your main sources, you half your income is going to be from storing private cars or stuff that's not needed. You're either storing tank cars, coal cars, or some guy's private fleet. And these are one of them. Also, is a little bonus. Wow, looking not way less run down than it was, but when we got rid of it, is our 1994 Taurus wagon that we got to replace. What did we replace that with? I think we replaced the 1974 Ford LTD. We need some of the cargo capacity. Because the LTD was massive, but yeah, there's the old Taurus wagon. That got donated to a local public television station last year. So yeah, that it was not in good shape when it died. I think the transmission finally stripped out on it, but it was a month away from being retired anyway. But some of these photos always sometimes when you catch in the background. So the scenic operation they were running had one of their SD50s on both ends, which ironically has become a preservation-worthy locomotive in its own right. Also, they had the Reading 2102, as you might have seen on the things. I'm not sure what happened to Reading 2102. I'm sure it's living somewhere. Steamtown or wherever, getting rehabilitated or dehabilitated or something. Nah. We got people here. So... which number is that? 2050, 20... What? I don't know. I'll have to just go through the rest of the photos, I guess. No, not that one. Not that one. Don't need you. Nope. It is 5022. Okay. 2102. $50.22 cab. So yeah, I'm not sure what was out there. It wasn't running. I think it was just on display. This was used to live at Port Clinton in the late 90s, and so again, when I would do these little train treks, I would look at a topo map pretty much, and I'd find stuff that I was reading the really good series, History of the Reading Railroad History, History of a Coal Age Empire. I'd find these locations. So like one day, I'd drive my dad out to Reading country, and then we'd pull into Hamburg. And it was, I remember it was full of Reading MU, where the Reading Blue Mountain Northern used to have they had a little tourist operation on the PR line between North Reading and Hamburg. And I didn't know it was there. I had no idea it was going there. I roll in and it's twilight. There's a passenger station. It's not, no one's there. And we start wandering around, and, there's a T1 steam locomotive there. It's like, what the hell is this doing here? And then it's all full of Reading MU cars. I'm like, wow, I didn't know this stuff existed. This is really pre a reliable internet where you could just find whatever information you wanted. Google didn't exist. You couldn't just find things. And I would just stumble upon stuff. I went by Port Clinton one day, and this locomotive was there. I didn't know it was there. There was no one around. I mean, it was just the Reading Blue Mountain and Northern yard, but they had that in a shed, and it was just sort of sitting there. I had a film camera. I got a couple film pictures of it. But you don't have that. So you still have that sort of surprise. You'll go out and you'll get surprised by a heritage unit. You'll go out, you'll get surprised by some signaling because no one else bothers to tell you that it's there. You really got surprised by stuff back in the day. And like I said, in this trip, I did not know this engine would. This is like the third time I'd encountered this engine completely by surprise. Where is it? Oh, well, probably should go to the locomotive wiki. I'd love to know what the hell is thrashing my CPU right now. It's the browser. I probably should have restarted that. Whatever. Okay, whatever. I don't need him right now. So we'll figure out where 2102 is in a second. Maybe someone in the chat will tell me. Oh yeah, the midwinter trip. There's I have a Facebook event out for it, and I posted on Subchat that has the link. It's going to be a lot of transit this year. We're going to be doing the Route 59 trackless trolley. Hopefully, if it's still running with the trolley buses. And then we're going to be going on Route 15 all the way to Callow Hill, or 63rd Street. We're going to finish with an express trip down to Newark. It's that one I tried to do and screwed up a couple years ago, and back. It's the fastest way to get down to Newark, and I really want to do a trip down to Newark. So I'll link the Facebook event at some point. God. My browser here is just dead. Alright, I'm just going to try to finish this up and not deal with my dying browser. I didn't reboot. I bet it's been running for a while. It's a fork of Firefox before they discontinued support of all their add-ons that I depend on, so yeah, that wasn't running. They've had you notice the connecting rods off, so they could move it without fucking up the cylinders. Yeah, we're lucky those Reading T1s survived as long as, were preserved like they were. Not a lot of superpower steam. I mean, actually, I think more superpower steam was saved than a lot of the early power. But the superpower steam is where the technology was the most interesting, because it was most developed. Okay, I'm dealing with this I'm just gonna can these two and bring them back. Ah, crud. That's what I needed. Ugh, frag. Did they put something in to try to recover it? I am toast. Damn. Anyway, sorry about the browser problems. It's always an adventure. Anyway, I've also finished that set of photos. Little slow here, but making progress. And I think I just have one more left to do. Yep, one more left. So, like I said, it was very spur of the moment. The scout trip had either I don't think it was a bike trip was on the Saturday, and then the Sunday was you just drive home, and we just piled into the thing there. So originally, when I took these three photos that you just saw me at the front of the locomotive, the middle part, and the cab, I manually stitched those to make this. You didn't have the auto photo stitching stuff you do today. And even if I tried to use the auto photo stitching stuff that we have today, it would just be like, no, you idiot, you didn't do that right. So I'm just going to do them as 3 detail shots instead of trying to manually stitch them together. I bet I could find that. I bet, yeah. You want me to embarrass myself here with my my terribly... maybe I didn't do it. Maybe I tried. Oh, there it is. Ah! That's bad. Wow. Oh. Oh. Oh, that's terrible. This is why I don't do these things anymore. So, sorry y'all had to see that. That was embarrassing. Again, this is why I'm doing this. Well, and it gives me something to do when my mom's asleep and I got nothing else better to do for the night. So I've been prattling on for almost an hour here. I got to finish this stuff up. So, anyway, here we go with your old 56. So it says the number thing says 56, 57. I think I think one of them was 56, one of them 57, and the other one was something else, like 54B or that. This one's 57. The other one's 56. Okay, it says so on the tender. You can see this is the number right there. So I got to go back up, rename this guy. and resave it as that. What? Oh. Whatever. So I don't know what all these caboose were doing here. Again, these short line tourist operations tend to make their money on storage. So, you know, you had all these caboose lovers of America. They got to stick their stuff somewhere, so they find a place and it all ends up there. I seem to have decided to expend a sizable portion of my photo count these days on these caboose. I don't know if these are just used for local fanning. I mean, like local gorge trips, or if they were like rented out for a camping experience. Some people do that. You can. They have places where you can like stay in these. I don't know what I did with these previously in terms of naming, but I'm just going to name these with their proper, not their, when I say proper, I don't mean the reporting marks that they are now, but whatever they show on them. Good old CNJ unit on its home turf there. People might wonder what the CNJ was doing in this area. If you know, shouldn't it be New Jersey related? So, for anyone who's actually lacking historical context here, the Lehigh Gorge hosted both the Lehigh Valley Railroad, which ran all the way to Buffalo, and the Jersey Central, which just ran to Scranton. And the reason you had both the CNJ, the LVRR, and the Reading in this area, and they all seem to have a ton of money, because this was the anthracite region. And this is the, you know, it's not just coal, it's the coal you need to heat your house properly without smoking your house up. Before home heating oil. And if you didn't want to cut wood, I mean, if you didn't want your house to be full of smoke, you know, there was no natural gas. There was town gas, which is manufactured gas, which is the thing that would kill you faster than, you know, you could. And also, if you didn't live in town, you didn't have town gas. So anthracite coal is what you had in the you know, and also also for export markets. It wasn't just the U.S. or New York City. This was a very rare commodity in the world, and so not only was it being used in the Northeast, it was being shipped overseas, and you had Reading, CNJ, Lehigh Valley, DL&W, and Erie all serving the anthracite fields. It supported 4 major railroads. And today, you're in, if you who heats their house with coal? I mean, I'm sure maybe some you know, I'm sure someone in Trump country is just like loves coal so much that they've decided to do it. But you know, no one's doing that anymore. So, you know, and no one's been doing it since natural gas. Natural gas was quote unquote invented. Oh, great, an unnumbered cabin car, yay! And that's why they all collapsed in the 1950s and 60s. I mean, there's a bunch of industry there too, but. But there's a couple things, like, you know, it's sometimes just hard to. The takeaway should both be you had a valuable commodity that was worth money and supported all these railroads. But on the other hand, you can look at the infrastructure that these railroads are able to invest in and realize that this commodity, I mean, it's like, people say the United States is the Saudi Arabia of coal, and it's been that way for a while. And being Saudi Arabia doesn't just mean, it means the money comes in, but it also means, that the stuff's expensive. They weren't just giving it away. So, as soon as people found a way more convenient alternative to coal, like, they just dumped it. And even today, just on a bigger scale with the fracking boom. By the way, if your tourist line doesn't allow open windows, it's not a good tourist line. I mean, that's what you're paying for. That's the price of admission. Sticking your damn head out the window for photos. If you're in a sealed window tourist line, go somewhere else. So this is here you go, at the end of the yard. So they still have all the stuff. This is the old Mach chunk yard. Wow. I think that switcher's there, but all those caboose are gone. Wah wah. Sorry. That's unfortunate. So where this is Nescahoning Junction with the PQ Tower right there. So I think that's actually used now by the Red and Blue Mountain. They've reactivated a bunch of stuff, and they're installing CTC. And when the real life signal, when the Class 1 signaling all gets converted, I will be all over that stuff. Trust me, you. Is that westward? North, but whatever. I'm just going to, since I'm near PQ Tower, I'm just going to label everything with PQ Tower. Coming up. Uh-oh. What? Wait, hold on here. I feel like I'm missing photos. I guess I had to catch it on the way back. Oh, I didn't notice the tower till I was done. There's PQ Tower, still surviving. Checked Google Maps. You can see it right there. Right there. Roof's toast. Apparently that was a GRS plant, from what I just recently read when I was trying to get the name of it. Pistol grip machine. I don't know if CNJ... I always pegged the Reading as a US&S person, but they seem to be pretty equal opportunity. Well, that's enough for me prattling on today. If you return... Uh-oh, I didn't do something. I didn't resize this one. There we go. Sometimes you forget, because the quality is so low. Fudunk. Oh, one more bonus photo. So you can start seeing here, the major commodity of the Lehigh Valley these days is tourism. Both your hiking and biking. Hiking, biking, and the rafting is big in the Lehigh Gorge. Beautiful. No road access. So in the 60s. So as I said, the CNJ and the Lehigh Valley both had parallel main lines running to Scranton. Again, you're transporting something like oil when you can have parallel railroads going to the same place. Built with 1890s manual labor, which again we think, wages were cheap back then, but getting people to do anything was expensive. But today the CNJ alignment supports biking and hiking. There's no other road access. So in the 60s, CNJ actually cut back, I think, to Phillipsburg or Easton or Bethlehem or somewhere, mainly just to try to eliminate the duplicate trackage because the traffic had fallen so badly. Anyway, this is the future CP coal. As part of the Reading Blue Mountain Northern Freight, they've basically leased the Lehigh line, and they run it. They run a bunch of stuff. I don't know what they're transporting, but a lot of it is passenger with the tourism operations. What's the number of that locomotive on the front? 5033. Anyway, let's see who's in the chat. Blah, 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 chat. Where did that go? Here it is. Oh, I got some people. Yeah, I really hope you can make the CNJ thing. I'll throw a link in when let me find you a link to the Facebook event. Oh, here's what's up with stored ready movement. Okay, 2102 is still at Port Clinton. They got a restoration shop there. That's cool. Let's roll over into Facebook real quick. I'd be worried about my private posts, but I don't do private posts. If you can't make it public on Facebook, don't put it on Facebook. Can't make anything public anywhere, don't put it online. Midwinter trip 18. Let me just throw the link up. I need to add, hey, you got 5 people going already. That's cool. There's your link. Oh yeah, teaching railroad merit badge. I used to do that until I have a standing conflict with the merit badge college we ran. I need to requalify as a merit badge counselor. They actually make you take a bunch more classes for it. I don't mind. It's not a big deal having some qualifications. But I used to do railroading. I need to check the update of the requirements. I think I think for a lot of the time I was using an out-of-date book. There was always this one thing that they listed as a prerequisite in our materials. For the merit badge college, I did it for so many years, but they kept saying there's this one they kept listing as a requirement that was totally not a prerequisite, and the one that was in theory a prerequisite, I just sort of gave people a pass on. It was like call a railroad and find out how much it costs to ship something. It was incredibly out of date. It was just not an applicable requirement. Anyway, this has run really long. Thank you all for watching. Any last questions? Just be aware that I will be back tomorrow, and we will be doing part 2. What's in part 2? I don't know. Let's see what's in part 2 in case you have any surprises. Oh, let me delete those last photos. There's another Lehigh thing that I gotta do. Oh, just mainly. Hey, some interesting stuff on the line. Wait, I have that photo already. Gotta love the open windows. There we go. So it's the remainder of the trip up and down the Lehigh Gorge. So that's what you're tuning in for next time. All right, and I thank you all for attending, and I will see you tomorrow and for every other day this week. So thanks a ton.